What's up, fight fans? This is Johnny. Hope everyone's doing well today. It's Thursday afternoon here in Sydney, Australia. Wherever you're tuning into this, if you're catching this live, be sure to check in. Also, all I ask from you, like this video and let me know who you like this week. So we went live earlier today. We talked about the fights that happened last night in Turkey. Huge upset, 6-1 underdog. Jazza Dickens goes into Istanbul and upsets the undefeated gold medal Olympian. And fourth round stoppage, I didn't see it coming. Nobody I spoke to saw it coming, but we're starting to see a pattern here in terms of older veterans fighting undefeated young Olympians. And we saw last 2 weeks in a row, which is insane. What's up, Skeezy? What's up, Vega? And so we're looking ahead towards the weekend. We have a fight card in the UK. I uploaded the main event between Catterall and Eubank. That's on the page. And then I just uploaded an hour ago an interesting fight between a former world champion, Joe Cordina, and a challenger that, it's very rare that you can't find footage on a fighter. And that's the case with Jarrett Gonzalez. So I broke the fight down. I uploaded it. In my breakdown and analysis, I brought up the fact of, especially in recent memory, the record of Mexicans coming over to the UK as big underdogs, B-side, and getting the victory. But I'm not predicting that. Jarrett Gonzalez is a 24-year-old, one loss. You can't even find his height and reach online, which is insane. I found him on Instagram. He just started an Instagram page a couple months ago. He's posted like 4 or 5 things. And he has the 17-1 record. He's a guy in Mexico who's only fought 8 rounders. He's been stopped once. The only other footage you could find of Joet Gonzalez on YouTube, there's 2 fights. One was a Muay Thai fight, and the other one was a fight he fought in 2020, which I featured a little bit of it on my breakdown, and he won by first round knockout. It's the only footage you could find of him. Like I said, go to all these other fight websites. A lot of these breakdown fight news websites will use BoxRec's algorithm in terms of the statistics, height, reach, weight, etc. And they just scrub that data and they put it on their own. You can't even find Jarrett Gonzalez's height and reach. So what I'm saying is, before I continue, a couple minutes in, I know a lot of people will tune into this late and ask me about my lock. Here's my lock. I just posted it up on the community section. I'm getting right now Joe Cordina to win by stoppage. Joe Cordina by knockout, $1.35, and I'm parlaying that with Catterall to beat Eubank on the money line. It's a $1.85, and I think both are going to happen. So those are my locks of the week. That's my parlay of the week. 2 locks: Cordina by stoppage, Catterall to beat Eubank on the money line. And to answer your question, Skeezy, I saw that Gary Russell Jr. is on the undercard. Mate, I think that there's a lot of fight fans who are unaware of how skillful Gary Russell Jr. is. I saw that footage too. It was versus Carlos Lara. Yeah, first round knockout. It was footage from somebody in the crowd. And all we know about Jarrett Gonzalez is he has a backhand. You got Catterall. I'm taking Catterall on the money line as a safe bet. But I could see Catterall stopping Eubank too. But on my locks of the week is a 2-leg parlay. I just posted it. You can check it out. 100 gets you your money back plus 85. 10 grand gets you 8,500 back. Seeing if you're feeling froggy. So Catterall to beat Eubank on the money line and Cordina to stop Gonzalez. I'm rolling with it. You think Eubank is so much better than Jack? I just don't see it. I think Harlem Eubank is a guy that, got into boxing late, comes from a good pedigree. We know the last name. We know who his uncle is. We know who his cousin is. His pops was a fighter. I just checked out Fiaz and Murphy. Let me put a statement on Catterall versus Eubank real quick. I don't think Eubank is on the same level as Catterall. As a boxer, skill set, what he's seen in there, how he goes about his business. Jack is a very smooth professional. His work is really, what he does in the ring technically is really sound. He's not a huge volume guy. great countering, great understanding of the pocket. I think he's going to make Eubank look really average. I could even see Catterall stopping Eubank. But to answer your question about Aqib Fiaz versus Murphy, these are two Brits with one loss. I think Fiaz has 2 knockouts on his record with 1 loss, and Murphy has no knockouts, something along those lines. If you want to bet on that fight, bet on that fight. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I love that fight. It's a domestic level match. I'm not putting it on my parlay, but if I had to pick it, I'm going to lean on Fiaz from what I've seen, the limited tape I've seen. But I'm learning from my mistakes over the last 4 weeks. I already gave you my long parlay for July. That's already working, but that's all of July. I went 1 for 1 yesterday. Obviously, I missed on the main event. I hit on the co-main, both single bets. This weekend, I'm going really heavy on that 2-leg I just told you. We don't have any other fights. So I'm going all in on Catterall by decision and Cordina to win by stoppage. Now, you guys have other options. I'm staying away from the Elfie Middle Miss fight. I'm staying away from the Fiaz fight. I'm staying away from the Neil Brown fight. I'm not betting on William Crolla. I'm not betting on Cristobal Lorente. I'm not betting on Pat Brown, and I'm not betting on Scott Nicholson. So like I'm just on one of this is one of those weeks where I just get to experiment. I just don't want to. I don't see the value right now in adding $1.03, $1.02, $1.06 on a parlay, and then on a 50-50 fight at the domestic level with Aqib Fiaz and his opponent. It's just too risky. Alex Murphy, I don't want to. I mean, maybe put $10 on it if you guys are really bored. I mean, you could throw $25 on the favorites, and in that 50-50 fight, you take Fiaz to juice in your odds. But I wouldn't do that with any sort of confidence. Just, especially at that level, anything could happen. And taking Pat Brown via knockout, you're getting via knockout minus 390. What's good? Landslide in the house. Mar the Prince. So, yeah, I'm not even getting options for Pat Brown to win by knockout. I mean, he's such a big favorite, guys. And you'd have to think on, okay, they're actually offering stoppage odds. So, Pat Brown by knockout, $1.37. How many knockouts does Pat Brown have? See, Mar the Prince is talking me into Mar the Prince is talking me into adding some fights on my parlay. Let's check Pat Brown out. Pat Brown. Dude, Pat Brown has 2 pro fights. You're doing stoppage bets on it? He's 2-0, fighting a guy who's 6-2. I like making bets like that, but like I said, this week I'm taking a more mature approach on my end, and I'm just going all in on just those 2 fights. But yeah, if you want to take Pat Brown waiting on the ring card, yeah, there's a lot of good. I was just watching on DAZN how awful they are, but on DAZN's YouTube they had the interview with Shakur and then the side by side with Hamza and Berlanga. Interesting. I still like Berlanga by stoppage. I don't have faith in Hamza Shiraz. I don't have faith in his mental capacity. I don't. He has a tall task. He has a lot of pressure on him from Turkey coming into New York. I mean, like I said, you could say all you will about Ed, but Ed is a pro, and Ed fights mean. I think he's going to stop him. I love that. Yeah, so I got Berlanga by stoppage right now, which is good odds. What made it interesting to me was seeing Hamza across from Berlanga, seeing how he's dressed. We know about the optic Hamza has created for himself, that image, that brand. And there were just a couple things they were going back and forth with where I don't think Hamza was really understanding where Berlanga was coming from. I got Shiraz. Good luck on that. Yeah, I like what Berlanga said about Andy Lee. Berlanga totally cut that because all the people online, the experts, love when Andy Lee gets a fighter. Love using Andy Lee as like their crutch to say that their guy is gonna win. Oh, he's training with Andy Lee now. Berlanga brought that up. It was pretty funny. And Berlanga, people, I mean, for how flashy he likes to be and some of the things he says, that dude is a student of the game. That dude is a lifelong fighter. He understands the fight game. He watches all the fights. I like Berlanga by knockout. Still torn on Matias and Puello. I'm not. I think Matias is gonna lose 8 rounds. I think Puello 8-4. But yeah, we talked about this all week. We're gonna talk about it up until fight week. Alberto Puello keeps his belt. Maybe Berlanga fell in love with his power. I mean, Berlanga always have power. But Berlanga by stoppage in the 7th. Yeah, I could see Shiraz quitting. I'm going with the Shiraz purely because I don't like Skeezy. Good. I mean, hey, that's it. That I can't. Coming from my perspective, me in my side room here, I can't give opinions based on if I like a guy or not. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I have to pick guys that I don't like. The thing that Puello has going for him is he's so big for 40. Shiraz about the box that of him. I don't think Shiraz is that good. I disagree with that. Whitaker looked good in his first fight under Lee. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Whitaker, Parker. But it's a thing. It's not just Whitaker. It's like a narrative going around about Andy Lee lately. Yeah, it's a good fight. I just, yeah, at the world class level, do we have any examples recently of a big puncher, especially being so one dimensional as Matias, beating a smooth, slick boxer? I wouldn't bet the house. The odds are nice. The odds are good either way. Look, I understand the Matias pick. Shiraz got schooled by Adames. Yeah, and, people sleep on Ammo. Ammo ran out of gas. Ammo was tiny, too. Ammo was piecing up Shiraz. That was a dog fight. That was a fun fight. Ammo should be fighting 2 weight classes below. That dude, Shiraz made Ammo look like a lightweight. I know he's not that small. Ammo's not that tiny. What's your Catterall versus Eubank final prediction? I think Catterall beats Eubank. He might even stop him. Schofield won me. Good. Landslide in the house, getting money. Schofield won. Dude, Schofield proved it to me, man. I was just watching, the thing that Matias has going for him is he throws short punches and doesn't load up. Yeah, and for all of his knockouts, that is true. But the thing about it is at the same time, David, he's out of position a lot. And, he does overswing. He does overswing, but he's not as accurate as Better Beef. If you're talking about punch trajectory, I could see what you're talking about. But punch trajectory, you have to add on to that accuracy. You have to add on to that variation of punch. That's what I just don't like. It's hard for me to pick Matias to beat Puello for some of the things he does with his feet, for some of the positions he gets himself into. Sometimes he will just throw the one punch. He literally has a puncher's chance against Puello. Lucas Body. It's a good Lucas Body. Good fighter. I do see the better beef comparison just from the punch trajectory. Yeah. So Joe Cordina getting stopped. I don't think so. You're crazy. Young Mexican reminds you of Mauricio Lara. You're out of your mind. Dude, you're out of your mind. What are you talking about? You think Jarrett Gonzalez is going to stop Cordina? Jarrett Gonzalez has... We could find a Muay Thai fight of his. We could find 1 minute of footage of him from 2020. He just started an Instagram. He's only fought in 8-rounders. I don't even know if those fighters he fought were real fights. It's insane. Cordina, 1 loss. Lost to Kakachi at 30. The thing about Cordina is he started his career at 35, had a good amateur career at 35, took one fight at 40, and then halfway through his career he went to 130, became a world champion. I loved his performance against the Japanese fighter. And Kakachi, losing to Kakachi, I mean, that was a tough fight. And the loss ages well, Kakachi, we know what he did, became the champ, got vacated. Mauricio Lara versus Warrington, I brought that up in my breakdown. Jarrett Gonzalez is not Mauricio Lara, and we know Lara pops for doing steroids. But Mauricio Lara, I mean Francisco Rodriguez, I'm not gonna put a 24-year-old Jarrett Gonzalez in that category. At least I had seen Mauricio Lara fight before. I never, dude. You can't even find footage of Jarrett Gonzalez. It's insane. You can't even find his height and reach online. What, like, that's insane to me. And you know what's interesting? I think it's a very smart and tactical move on Cordina's part, moving up from 30 to 35 and seeing, you know, he wins this fight, which I think he's going to win by stoppage. It'll take him a few rounds. I think he'll have some ring rust. We know he hasn't fought since over a year ago. He fought, Kakashi last May. He was supposed to fight Shakur in October. The fight gets scrapped. Now he's back, and it's already July. So I think there's going to be some ring rust there. But, you know, Cordina's world-class, world level. Really, really good boxer. I would not call Jarrett Gonzalez a puncher. Just don't fall in love with that record. I mean, even the right hand he knocked the kid out in 2020 was a very fun, like, basic right hand. I mean, so are you picking Cordina to lose because his opponent is Mexican? Yeah, one clip. Yeah, same, David. I put it in my breakdown. One clip. For you to be picking Gonzalez to win because he's Mexican, then you're on the wrong channel. You're on the wrong channel, then. Appreciate you, Carlos. Shiraz fought Adamas, Berlanga fought a nobody. I don't know what y'all seen. Berlanga fought Quigley. That's about it. I got Cordina and I'm Mexican. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to win money out here. Like, these are business investments. I'm not, you know, what I'm seeing with Shiraz is I'm seeing a Shiraz who's, you know, never fought at 68. I'm seeing a Shiraz that, in my opinion, doesn't handle pressure too well. I'm seeing Shiraz that's leaky in his defense. I'm seeing Shiraz that mentally has showed me that he kind of wilts sometimes. And I think Berlanga is going to take advantage of all that. That's my whole reasoning. Berlanga's hand, I don't know why people, dude, Berlanga's hand speed. People forget the dude has really fast hands, and he has power, and he can pop, and he'll fight you right there. And we'll see. You add New York to the mix. You add that victory lap after a loss to a mix, because in Berlanga's head, he thinks he's the best in the world. That goes for something. Hand speed, inside game. That's what I like. When I'm leaning on Berlanga, that's exactly what I like. His inside game and his hand speed. He just fuck. I know. People are insane. He had his moments, too. He had his moments. Yeah, I like Berlanga money line, for sure. You know, it's still a fight at the end of the day. It's boxing. It's still a fight. There's just something about Shiraz, his style, that just seems, it just doesn't seem like that much. I don't think he's ready for this level, man. I'm not hating on him. It's hard to explain. When I watch Shiraz fight, I see why people are so excited about him. I understand why he has all the hype. His range, his length. But there's something about, I think it's his defense that I don't like. I don't think Shiraz is ready for that level. I think Shiraz is going to be a guy at the end of it with some losses on his resume, with some knockout losses on his resume. He exits, too, when he's sliding out of range. He kind of does this a bit. A lot of tall fighters tend to do that because they're taller, because they've always been able to get out. You know, they've always been able to. Think about when, wasn't it when Seb Fundora got stopped against, was it Mendoza? How he, you know, he kind of has this thing about, you know, taller fighters do that with their chin. Shiraz going down easy like wine. Does Edgar got good head movement? Landslide. Berlanga has a lot of twitchy movement. You know, I could see, the Shakur by stoppage too. I've been flirting with that idea too. I picked Adamas too. We covered that fight here. Shakur did you guys watch Shakur's interview? Yeah, so that bit, David, that bit next gen, I love it. Protect that mental health. Dwayne Stiles, I once interviewed a mental health advocate on my channel. Oh, I forget his name. He has like millions of subscribers. The interview's on my channel, and his whole saying was protect your peace. It bothers me. I don't remember his name. Turkey's high on Shiraz. High. Yeah, so back to Shakur's interview. He gave Zepeda some props, and I found it the type of compliment Shakur gave Zepeda. I don't think it was weird. I the type of compliment Shakur gave Zepeda is a type of compliment that only a really smart fighter would give. And he said that Zepeda is a fighter who figured out his style, understands what he's good at. Zepeda comes into each fight with a polished style. Not necessarily when we say a polished fighter, meaning well-rounded everywhere, but having a polished style is a bit different. And the way he put that, man, you couldn't have put it more perfectly when you watch Zepeda. He knows exactly what he does well. He knows exactly what he could do with his style, and he implements that game plan every time. The downside of that is that style is anyone with a specific style becomes one-dimensional. I think Shakur's counterboxing. I think Shakur's speed. I think Shakur has more power than people think. I could see a stoppage. Not my official prediction, though. It's hard for me to see Shakur getting hurt. TBV right now is confirmed. Caller passed away. I'm choked up. Somebody passed away. I don't like it. The Berlanga glorifies the loss. Yeah. You know what, Julius, I agree with you, but then I started just kind of laughing at that. It's like somebody else recently was doing a victory lap after a loss. Initially, dude, Berlanga had a parade, guys. No, it's all good, Dwayne. No, there's no. It's all love here. Berlanga had a parade for himself after he lost. Initially, that rubbed me the wrong way, and then afterwards, I thought about it. I was like, this dude is wild. I think obviously, it pays a little bit to be a little bit insane or delusional, especially when you're a prize fighter. Ilias celebrated before his win. Yeah, but my man had a parade. My man had a parade after an L. Come on. Like, Zepeda's a lot. No, it is. Dude, Zepeda's one of my favorite fighters. I'm not saying that's an easy fight. Shakur stops him. It's an easy fight. I could see it being a dog fight. But, even in dog fights, people could get stopped. Yeah, De Los Santos could crack. Akib Fiaz. Yeah, look at who's fighting, Julius. The one guy has 2 knockouts, the other guy has 0. I don't bet on those. I'm not betting on that fight. Stay away from Akib Fiaz versus Alex Murphy. I'm telling you right now. I'm taking my own advice over the last 3 weeks, losing undercard fights, so I'm only betting on, I told you this, the only 2 fights I'm putting money on this weekend are the main event and co-main. Yeah, Zepeda doesn't get tired. You know how you make Zepeda tired? You got to hit him to the body. You got to break that body down. Everybody wants to headhunt. I think you break Zepeda's body. You hurt him to the body, and then those tires will get a little flat. Calling out Tank. I don't know. I got tank fatigue. I got tank fatigue, man. I'm tired of people calling out. Carlos, what I miss? What do I think? Oh, I think Fulton versus Foster. That's a good matchup. We got Stevenson by decision. I could see that. I mean, that's the way it would trend, Carlos. Stevenson by decision, Puello by decision. Carlos, how about you type those bets and put it on my post so we could see it and have a record of it? Yeah, he did a world tour loss. Wasn't his parade in Puerto Rico? I know he's Puerto Rican, Boricua, but he was raised in New York. That's insane. You go down to Puerto Rico and have a parade with the cars next to you, with the rappers in your loft, passing out candies. He had everything but the belt. Hamza was on TBV today, Berlanga and 10. It's just insane to me he did a parade after an L. I think initially I was salty that he did it, but as time was passing and I started pondering on the mindset it takes to throw a parade after an L, I was like, I kind of like it. I like how crazy it is. Morrell beats Katayev. I think Morrell stops Katayev. No Mas Matias. And then, yeah, 50 cars. Any luck on finding? No, Boz. Boz, did you check my upload? Carlos, so go to the post section. If you go to my channel, you'll see videos, playlists, shorts. You'll see posts. In the last post, just put it as a comment, and I'll see it. Whenever you comment, I'll get notified. Either go at Johnny Stavko and then comment, or I'll know to look after this live stream, and then I'll see your posts, and then I'll screenshot it and post it. Katayev has a chance. I've watched his career here in Australia. He's managed by George's father, Jim. Shakur's like Padley would get stopped. I don't think so, man. Padley, people are up on Padley right now. He just won his last fight by stoppage. I think he's ranked now in the he's in the rankings. Padley could box. Don't sleep on him. I mean, he just won another fight. I wouldn't say he's a can at all. Josh got some skills. I mean, I'm not saying that to defend Shakur stopping him, but I've seen a lot worse. I think I've seen a lot worse recently. But yeah, so we got a lot to talk about. The time I've seen Morrell's chin test is against Hot Rod. And you know what? I think Morrell did better than I thought he would do against Benavidez. Yeah, Liam versus Auerbach. Skeezy, ask me in a week, man. I have to calm down from Liam Wilson a little bit. Yeah. A couple years ago, I was really high on Liam, and I still am. I'm just still kind of bummed out having just watched his last fight to see Liam not add anything to his game. Yeah, we covered Connor Wallace, but Skeezy, like you, Zachary Scott, appreciate the love. I've got Nicholson, never bet. She always a huge favorite. I know, man. Zach, it's tough for us to win money on Sky because the odds are so wide. I like Pally Heel, best. Yeah, Pally does things really well. Run with the world with my favorite fighters. Yeah. So yeah, to answer, the question, to finish about Liam Wilson, because he's an Aussie and I live in Australia, I watched his whole career. I'm always bummed out with guys who, you've seen perform at the world level. You kind of have hopes for. You want to see these younger guys add levels to their game, and then you see fight after fight, he just kind of looks the same a bit. And so I don't have a lot of hopes for him against Zauer. But we'll see. Zepeda would legit put Pally in a hospital gown. I don't know. Maybe. Sky, good looking for... Oh, yeah, Sky's a dime, for sure. We see eye to eye on that. Could Katayev be more heavy-handed? No, Katayev could crack, and he's durable. The thing about him is, we covered his last fight. You could watch the breakdown. He fades. He throws everything into every punch. Especially match with someone with Zauer. I know. Zauerbeck. I know, and you know what? You know what, Skeezy? This could be a chance for Liam. I thought the Argentinian fighter would be Liam's chance to kind of go viral and remind everybody about that lead hook. But when you saw how frustrated Liam was in rounds 3, 4, and 5, in between rounds, he kind of got it together a bit mid-rounds. When you saw him getting frustrated in between the rounds, what did that tell you? That told me that his only game plan was to land his lead hook. But you have to set we know this. How do you land the hook? You got to set it up with your feet. You got to set it up with the feints. He's a mover, so you got to cut the ring off. You have to walk him onto the lead hook. Don't throw the hook naked. Throw it, behind the jab. Do these sort of things. And he didn't do anything like that. Right now, Liam Wilson kind of bums me out. Let me sit with it a bit, and then as we get closer to fight night, hearing Connor Wallace will face Michael Eifler. Morrell versus Katayev. No, I think Morrell stops Katayev. I think that's a great barn burner, though. Johnny with the late night stream. What's up, high interest in the house? We're 30 minutes in. It is 1 p.m. here in Sydney, Australia, Thursday afternoon. Joseph Peters, could you put this in my post section so I could share this? Guys, all you boys who are giving me your picks, go to the post section and type it out, and I'll screenshot it, and I'll share it so we can all see it. Morrell has got to be careful. He does. It's going to be a barn burner early, and Katayev is game. He's a guy, I think, what is he, 11-0 now? Never lost. Loves a dog fight. Got big, hits like a truck. And it's a fun matchup. I think Morrell's a guy for me who I learned more about him after the loss. We always talk about that on the channel. Is sometimes we learn about a fighter, more about the fighter, what they possess after a loss. And I like what I saw with Morrell against Benavidez. I didn't think Morrell had that in him. You know what I'm saying? 10 p.m. in the Shy. High interest. Love coming from everywhere. I appreciate wherever you guys are tuning in from. Let's like this video. It's all I ask for. Lester Martinez, one of my favorite fighters to watch. He's fighting next weekend, right? Morrell, much more of a complete package. Yeah. You know what's going to be interesting with Morrell versus Katiev, though, is he is a complete package. But I think Iman Katiev's game plan would probably be to fight Morrell's ego. And we've seen Morrell engage in that before. I think that would be the game plan with Katiev versus Morrell, is to get Morrell to fight him in the phone booth, and take and you know, lose all the feet, you know, make him not chase, and try to catch him there, especially catch him early. Anything could happen. We saw with Farmer. We saw, you know, what Schofield did. You know, landed that hook off an awkward angle, and you know, jumped on him early, and you know, it panned out well for Kid Schofield. Hats off to him. So you never know. I think. Yeah, early game, I'm always interested from like a nerd perspective. One of the things I'm always interested in is like how fights begin. So when there's like big fights, and even, you know, a fight I'm interested in, I'm always watching really close, even like the first 30 seconds. Sometimes when you get guys like matchups with guys like who had already been world champions, you know, after, you know, maybe they're in their 30s, that changes. You see, I hate when veterans give minutes away, give rounds away, and take a little longer to set their game plan up. It is a bit of a youthful, younger energy thing to do, but when you watch Floyd and how he went about his work, how he just implemented that game plan right off jump, and he totally said, this is either going to work for me or it's not going to work for me, you got to tip your hat off to him. Because now when you look at Schofield and having a name like Tevin Farmer on his resume, he immediately jumps the queue of a lot of these guys that were kind of just, I'm not talking about, you know, the champions. I'm talking about, like, you know, the Sam Nokes of the world, the Abdullah Masons of the world, the other guys at 35. They don't have a guy like Tevin Farmer on their resume like Floyd does. And a lot of that came down to a beautifully executed game plan, and I can't speak highly enough about that. Aqib Fiaz, Alex Murphy, I'm not touching it. Wouldn't be surprised if that fight goes a distance. Morrell is a powerful 170. He might be figuring his power out, though. If you're going to bet Morrell, I would do it by sub. But yeah, David, I'm seeing you on that. Just based on, like, Iman Katiev, his last fight, there were some saucy moments. You know, I don't think that fight's going the distance, Morrell versus Katiev. I think it's stoppage. That's the way to go. And if you're torn on which way to go, just pick the fight to end by stoppage. I've been hitting that a lot lately, the last few weeks. But yeah, he did catch him cold. Schofield's physics is completely unique and general. Yeah, boxing fan. And we know that I didn't pick him. Like, and this is something that I hold my head up to, is that just because I don't pick a guy doesn't mean I'm a hater. And when I'm wrong, I'm like last night, Badr Gaziev, Dickens, Jazza. I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad Jazza won. But Schofield, I rewatched that first knockdown just before I went live. Watch where he had his feet, Schofield, and watch where Tevin was. It was such an, like, I don't want to say awkward angle. It was such an unorthodox angle, especially how he even threw that punch for it to land. It was an insane punch. That's it. And, you know, to see how the fight ended, it's a very impressive thing he did with that, with his feet angle right there. He kind of hopped a bit. He set the angle up. He comes in, he sets the angle up, and he kind of hops. And then he switches, and then he throws the hook. It was insane. Which knockout surprised you more? Kid Austin? I got to be honest with you. That's a great question. I think because it happened so quickly in the first round, I'd have to say Schofield. But, you know, Schofield shocked me. Jazza's impressed me. You know, I'm pointing to the screen because I have all these screens open. I was watching film. Yeah, Chris, it was a gamble, wasn't it? Well, power comes from our feet. And if we're talking about the physics of power, the equation of what creates power and strength is actually speed. Speed creates power. But in terms of, like, you know, our musculoskeletal system, our body, it's coming from our feet, from the ground up. So planting. So why don't you like Superman in this fight? I like Matias. I just one mistake. If Puello makes one mistake, it's really over. I don't think so. I don't think Matias is a one-punch knockout guy. What do you mean? If he makes one mistake, it's over? What are you talking about? Matias is more of a volume knockout guy. He kind of drowns you. He has detonating shots, thudding, but he doesn't have that Deontay Wilder backhand. So I disagree with that comment. I think Puello, if anything, if Puello gets caught clean, he's not really gonna. He's kind of a back foot guy anyway. And he's not going to have to change much because Matias is going to be on his front foot the entire time. I just don't like how Matias gets out of position when he misses. And when you look at his punch stats in terms of punches landed, especially with his backhand, he's not the most accurate puncher either. And so he also gets desperate in fights, when he's trying to win rounds. Yeah, his power is he's a volume guy. That's a good way of putting it. It's like a thudding power. Has to use Akhmedov game plan. Great game. That was my favorite fight of his. Akhmedov. Schofield quad reminds me of 80s Mark McGuire. Yeah, boxing fan, until you see Floyd Schofield's 5'5" and Mark McGuire's 6'5". I mentioned earlier that Puello is good size. He is. No, Puello's a big boy at 40. It's a great point. He's long too, and he fights long. And he has a good jab, and he has good feet, and good movement, side to side. Yeah, but boxing fan, I know what you mean. Body composition. Yeah, he's put together really well. Matias' jab is underrated. Does he throw it a lot? He has a fun style. Matias has a fun style. It's a tough matchup for him. And like I said, maybe a couple weeks ago, I think something should be said for Matias to dig his way back too. I didn't think. A lot of people were saying because he doesn't have that big of a following. We know he's beloved where he's from. I think what I'm about to say here, it's supposed to be a compliment. I think sometimes with a lot of fighters who don't speak English as their first language, sometimes the overall boxing community, when they get a loss, they kind of forget about them. And I think when you saw Matias lose his belt to Pero, I think a lot of people were like, well, that's it. He's a one-trick pony. The sideshow's over. He lost. That's how you beat him. And then, he takes, not really the toughest of all fights, but he gets back on the horse, wins another fight, and now he's fighting for a world title again. So just for him to put himself back in this position, hats go off to Subriel for sure. And he could definitely win. Are we going to get a focus, Matias? And he hits like a truck. Do you guys remember, I think it was 2 years ago, what association they do that yearly? It was either in the Dominican, they were either in the Dominican or Puerto Rico, and Terrence Crawford took a picture with Subriel Matias. I think it was Crawford and Matias. Maybe it was Crawford and Edwin De Los Santos. I think it was Matias. Matias's fists. I shared the picture online. His fists were like that. Matias has just, and I have big hands too, but Matias's hands are just big bricks. Guys, like I said, we've uploaded the Cordina fight. It's on the channel. I mentioned Jukambayev on your other live. He's a really good fighter. Jukambayev. Matias got sledgehammers. Jukambayev, there's a lot of good fighters. We're talking about, doesn't he have a fight right now? Did we just see him fight, or does he have a fight coming up? No, he just fought in April. Jukambayev. Who'd he lose to? He got stopped against Matias. Garrett GAR has a pressure style, outbox him easy. It wasn't that easy. It was a close decision. I think Puello had to come from behind to win that fight. If you rewatch that fight, GAR jumped off to a nice start. Can't always get caught up in a lot. Derevyanchenko, of course, one of the most underrated guys in boxing is Derevyanchenko. Different forms of pressure. Yeah, and Russell has definitely more of a dynamic offensive game than Matias. And he's way more complex too in setting his offense up than Matias is. Dude, GAR does a lot of little things that if you're not looking for it, you might not catch really, really well, really high level. Russell's super technical. How he sets his offense up with feints, what he does with his feet. Mate, he's fun to watch. I'm so glad his brother's fighting again. I just saw Gary. We just posted on the channel. Gary Russell is fighting again. So I had to go to YouTube and guys, if you're unfamiliar, go to YouTube and just type in Gary Russell highlights. Gary Russell Jr. highlights. His hand speed is unbelievable. Do you follow Fujita from the Japan? No, I didn't even. Zach, I didn't even know there was a card in Japan. Throws fly swatter opponent style, then try to teach you in boxing. Who are your favorite current fighters to watch? Stylistically, great question. Stylistically, I gotta be honest with you, man. I'm more of a, as a coach, the coach, there's two sides of me. The coach in me, I love the technical boxer. I love like the Shakur Stevenson boxer. The guy that, a lot of fans take for granted what he's doing in the ring defensively because they're not picking that stuff up. The Pernell Whitakers, that style. But the fight fan, the non-coach, the guy who likes, to get in street fights and the dude who's a savage who gets hammered, who used to get hammered on the weekends and, fuck shit up. That side of me, I like Virgil Ortiz, one of my favorite fighters to watch. Gary Antoine Russell. I love watching Bam. I love Inoue. Probably if I had... Bam is much more technical. Bam is kind of a mix. But if I had to put my two favorite to watch is probably Naoya Inoue and Virgil Ortiz, to be honest with you. I love how they go about their business. So, yeah. But there's so many good fighters out there. As you know, I tune into almost all the fights. And I'm becoming a fan of a lot of guys that I was unaware of like a year ago. There's a lot of good fighters. I like Rohan Polanco. I like watching Polanco fight every time he fights. I want to see him fight more. I want to see Murtazaev fight more. I want to see, stylistically, I mentioned Ryo. I like Ryo. And I broke down why. Yeah, you did break it down. And it's a fair point. But Ryo's only been boxing. Becoming a world champion. I think we were all shocked when Ryo became a world champion. He not boxing for a long time. Where do you rank Teo amongst the current 140s? I like seeing Moses, Atoma, good for the heavyweight division. Where do I wait Teo? Let's see. Let's go over this together then. 140s. Who are our champions? We have GAR, Teo, Puello, and Hitchens. Okay, those are our champions. I'd love to see Teofimo versus Gary Antoine Russell. Who would win, right? Who would win, Teo or GAR? Would Teo beat Hitchens? I'd love to see Teo versus Hitchens. Come on. And then Teo versus Puello. That one doesn't really excite me that much. But Teo versus GAR is the fight I want to see at 40. But isn't Teo wanting to take fights at 47? Wasn't that the rumor? It's a good question. I like looking at the champion. But then you have guys who aren't champions at 140 that, they don't get a lot of pub. They don't get a lot of love either. So let me pull that list up. We were talking about this last week on the stream. Like Andy Hiroka. Nobody talks about Andy Hiroka. Yeah, I mean, inactivity. I mean, he's had 2 fights in the calendar year, right? GAR, great clash of styles. So at 140, I mean, I think Liam Perro just put his name back in the mix. You got Andy Hiroka, no one talks about. Some of you guys are high on Dalton Smith. I'm not that high on Dalton after what I saw last fight. I mean, what's Tito Mercado gonna do? Tito was supposed to fight. I think Mercado's opponent on fight week pulled out, so I want to see Tito Mercado fight. Oscar Duarte, dude. Duarte's fighting. I thought Duarte was gonna be a guy after he lost to Ryan Garcia, was just gonna be like a 2-fight contract guy and be done with it. But then Duarte, his last couple of fights, yeah, he's 3-0. 2 stoppages. He's really leveling up, Duarte. He's a guy that I thought we'd see his best. But then you watch him more and more, and he's adding levels to his game. And how old is he now? He's only 29 years old. He's a tough out. He's a tough out for Sandro Martin. Another guy no one talks about. Sandro Martin is one of the best in the world there. If Matias wins on July 12th, guys, if Matias wins on July 12th, he's a two-time world champion. You put the belt back around Matias, and if he goes out and stops Puello, which can happen, I could see Matias. Like I said, I'm not betting on that, but if Matias goes out and stops Puello, becomes a champion again, and adds another knockout and puts a champion scalp, you gotta. I think that aura is back. The only way to get that aura that he lost against Liam back is you got to win it back, and it could happen. I'd like to see Tito versus Jermaine. And Jermaine's slowly starting a little bit more. He's starting to fight a little bit more offensively minded too. I think it's close to a 50-50 interest. Picks Eubank versus Catterall. PB and C, I got the 2 fights. I'm only betting on 2 fights this weekend. I'm taking Catterall to beat Eubank, and I'm taking Cordina to stop Gonzalez. That pays $1.85. Yeah, Jermaine's a joy to watch. If you, like pure boxing wise, Jermaine Ortiz is a joy to watch. And like I said, his last fight, he's slowly turning the volume up on his offense and putting himself in danger a bit more and trusting in sort of like his durability. There's a lot of things to like about Jermaine Ortiz. But, you're going to struggle with that style. People remember you with the style, and then, promotions aren't going to want to put you in like main event slots because they think you won't be able to sell tickets. And unfortunately, that's sort of that's where boxing is. And that's why guys like Matias, people were so hype about him, because the dude, you become a world champion again. Dude, Steve Claggett is a good boxer. I don't care what anybody says. Those who are clowning Claggett, I thought Claggett fought Teofimo really tough. People are like, maybe Teofimo fought down to his opponent, but Steve Claggett, he could box. That's a fun fight. I think that Jermaine should go in there and try to stop Claggett. Claggett has a lot of volume. Yeah, he's a warrior. I like watching Steve Claggett fight. And, he's one of those Canadian guys with a lot of losses, and people judge a fighter with the losses. But all you have to do to understand what type of guy Claggett is watch him fight. The dude is going to be there to fight you. Yeah, I think on paper it looks like it's going the distance. It's, the smart fight would be for Ortiz to just win on points. But like I said, if Ortiz wants to be that guy when you watch Jermaine, he wants to be a star. He grew up with all these guys. He came up through those amateurs. He feels like the lost guy in that division. You just got to stop. You got to start either stopping people, and like I said, he is adjusted his style, especially over the last few fights. And it's a good point. Where would I put Matias? Dude, if Matias stops Puello, guys, it changes everything in terms of where Matias goes. Who you got, bro? Abdullah or Schofield? Great matchup, 22 and 21. Like I said, Schofield has that Tevin Farmer scalp now. And, nah, he didn't get robbed. It was a good fight. He didn't get robbed. I don't think he got robbed. Teofimo won a couple more rounds than him. We live streamed that fight. Schofield having Farmer scalp now puts him leapfrogs Abdullah. Based on Abdullah hasn't had that level of opponent yet. We'll see how Abdullah looks against Noakes. I hope they don't fight yet, but I mean, both guys are flirting with the top 10, top 15 in the world at 22 and 21. Maybe they fight in a couple years. I don't know. My son's in the house. Oh, you're tapping in? What's up? We got father and son in the house. Excellent. I wouldn't be surprised if Claggett beats Jermaine. I'm telling you, don't sleep on Steve Claggett. I don't know what those odds are, but he's gritty, he's durable, and like I said, if Ortiz is looking to win, to get a flashy, a good viral moment, Claggett will be there for him to do that. It's just that what style of fight is Jermaine gonna fight? Because Teo was on his back foot a lot of that fight. Noakes versus Abdullah. I can't wait for that fight. We're gonna learn a lot about both of those young men, Sam Noakes and Abdullah Mason. Is that on paper? Have they signed the dotted line? And if so, is there a location? Sal, same. I was really high on Dalton Smith, exactly. And He just didn't show up. He should have stopped his last opponent. I've got, yeah, so a lot is Cafu. Bam and Cafu's coming up. That's a hell of a fight. I kind of sometimes lately, I have to pump the brakes sometimes when there's like up-and-comer British prospects. I do the thing the fight will happen. Yeah, Matthew Germain. So Matthew Germain was the Canadian guy who came over to fight Dalton Smith. Steve Claggett stopped Matthew Germain. Champ, upload your Berlanga bet on Johnny Post if you can. Somebody mentioned Carmel Moten. Yeah, Carmel, give him some time. I wouldn't rush Carmel. You know, he's small for the division in terms of height and reach. Fun to watch, fun prospect. Don't rush these young guys. You know what I mean? Give them time to develop. But, you know, like I said, you keep winning, though, and you're marketable, and these guys are getting more and more larger, you know, social media followings. This stuff matters. And I think that's one of the best parts about our sport, indifferent to, like, the UFC. We bring it up about once a week, is how the UFC, it's kind of there's so much parity. It's a meat grinder to where there isn't a system in place for taking a young, talented prospect and guiding him along. You take young, talented prospects in the UFC, and they either sink or swim. And, you know, perfect example, we just saw Josh Van. He swam. You know, he on 2 weeks' notice, he fights Brandon Royval. And, I mean, Josh is, 22? Royval's 32. And then we saw that backfire, though. I always talk about the Yair Rodriguez versus Frankie Edgar fight and how it backfired on the UFC and Dana White, and they just totally derailed a young prospect's early part of their career by putting him up, rushing his trajectory by putting him up against a goddamn meat grinder like Frankie Edgar. So in boxing, I think one of the good things about our sport is, you know, say what you will about the handlers, but, you know, you don't want to rush a guy like Carmel Moten. You don't want to rush a guy like Abdullah or even, but, you know, the better you are, though, and the more people you keep knocking out, it's only a matter of time until Abdullah's fighting for a title, and we know that. And same with Floyd and same with Carmel. I think it's, you know, give Carmel a year or two before he starts stepping up, though. Harlem Eubank by decision. I don't see him outboxing Jack. I think Jack's going to win. I have him on the money line. I can see Jack stopping Harlem late. Cafu. Some of you guys like Cafu to beat Bam. Sell me on that real quick, boys. So how many of you here? I've seen it like 4 different times. Some of you boys think that Bam is going to lose against Cafu. If so, I want to know your reasoning. Because what am I seeing? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Because I didn't upload it, but I've been watching tape on. I've watched his last 3 fights. Fumalea Cafu. Cafu. 11-0. 8 knockout. Coming off a split decision. That's the one I watched. He won a split. I think Bam stops him. I think Cafu's tailor-made for Bam, actually, to be honest with you. I think we're looking at a potential future Hall of Famer with Bam Rodriguez. What, 25 years old? I think he's won titles already at, 12? 15? I mean, he could be a 4-division world champion before it's all said and done. Right? Superfly. 12, 15, 18, 22. Yeah, I don't see, for sure. I see him stopping this dude. It's going to be a fun fight. What is it? It's a 12-rounder. Both guys in their prime, 25, 26. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be I don't think this is the weight class Bam is going to lose at. Cafu retired him. Wins by stop. I think he stops him too. I'd put money that he stops Cafu. For sure. Okay. That's what I thought. But I like hearing the other side too. Man, his body work, his defense, his willingness to trade. He is a throwback fighter as well. Like you asked me about my favorite fighters to watch. I forgot to mention Brian Norman Jr. There's a new version of him. His last few fights. Ever since the Santillan fight, the Cuevas fight, the Sasaki fight, and he's still growing and learning. At 24, man, if he continues to add layers to his game, Haney is going to outbox Norman. It seems like a popular opinion at this moment. It could happen. Haney's a hell of a boxer. It could happen. Anything could happen. I'm just saying, I'm a big, I like watching both guys. I mean, Devin versus Jose Ramirez wasn't the most exciting. I'll just leave it at that. But Devin did what he had to do to get back on the winning track. I don't see how Devin, I don't know. I don't see him beating Norman Jr., actually. I think Norman Jr. has, is way quicker than people give him credit. I think Norman Jr.'s his footwork is better than people give him credit. We know about his power, and he'll punch with you. And he's mean. I like that. I like a guy who's mean in there. And he's 24 years old. Bam's jaw been broken. It's not life-changing. Dude, Jai Apatai's jaw's been broken. Both guys continued on fighting and winning. You think Jai Apatai is life-changing? Are you crazy? Jai got his jaw broken in a fight and went on and won the fight. The jaw, guys, so go like this, boys. So if you go here, the mandible, the part of the jaw that connects here, so there's this bit and then this bit. There's 2 divots here, 2 little indentations. It only takes 3 pounds of pressure to break that. So, having one's jaw broken definitely sucks. But is it, in a sport where you're getting punched in the face, is it, something that career changing? No, not at all. It sucks, especially if it's here. You got to eat out of a straw for a little while. You got to get your jaw wired shut. But it's not reoccurring. It's not one of these things like, when it happens once, the jaw gets broke, it could get broken again. You rarely ever see that happening. So yeah, when I look at a guy like Bam getting his jaw broken in a fight and winning, and Jai Apataya getting a jaw broken and winning, I think that's a good thing. I'm like, those 2 dudes are dogs. Yeah, chin down. Exactly. So here. But think about both guys' styles, though. They'll punch with you. And so when you're punching with somebody, you leave it susceptible. Take the under, Bam. Or fight not to go the distance. The under, what's that paying, Julius? I can see that. Or I like, and if you think Cafu's going to beat Bam, you probably think he's going to stop Bam, right? You don't think Cafu's going to win a decision? Is that the reasoning, Julius? And if it is, maybe you hedge that by just taking the fight not to go the distance. And so you could watch it with neutral eyes and just hope you just hope for blood. Hope one person stops the other. Guys, I got to wrap this up. Second live of the day. Make sure you check out the video I just uploaded with Cordina and Jarrett Gonzalez. I want to know who you're taking. I'm going to be going live tomorrow morning really early. And just stay tuned to the channel. My locks are already up, guys. My hands are washed on this weekend. I'm going heavy on Catterall by decision and Cordina by stoppage. $1.85. Let's get this money.